So my name is Kimberly Collins, and I want to talk to you today about what RailsBridge is. First, you might want to know who I am. If you haven't seen me around at meetups, you're not coming to enough meetups because I'm very involved, like Aaron said, in the community. First of all, I'm not a Ruby developer at all, so that'll be relevant to what I'm talking about. I am a .NET developer, though. I've been doing that for 12 years. So I come to Ruby as a beginner in some ways, but then not at all in other ways. And then, like Aaron said, I'm a board member of Techlahoma, very involved in several different groups. If you want to be more involved, like he said, find me and we can make that happen. So what is RailsBridge? It's a free online tutorial for creating your first Ruby on Rails app. So that was me at the time. I had not done anything at all with Ruby or Rails, and I was interested in learning about it. And so I found this tutorial. If you go to docs.railsbridge.org, you'll find all the details about it. The first step that they'll have you do is an install fest. So that's this link, the install fest page. They'll have you install Ruby, obviously, and Rails, Git, Node, Atom, the Heroku CLI. And then after you do that, you create a test Rails app, generate a database model, and deploy the app to Heroku. So they have you just follow these very simple steps. This will be great for a person who's new to programming in general or to Ruby on Rails. Once you finish the install fest, though, you don't really know a lot about what you've done. You just know that you have set it up correctly. So it's nice to know that everything is working correctly, but you don't know a lot about what you've done. So the next step is that they have you do what they call the classic RailsBridge curriculum. They call it the Suggestatron. You can find that at their Intro to Rails page. What they say is that that takes you step by step through making a Rails app, one command at a time, using helpers like Rails Generate Scaffold, and deploying that app to the internet. So this is a great way to, for someone who's never created a website before, you can start with like your very first line of code today and finish by making like a real app on the internet. So the steps they have you do on that Intro to Rails tutorial, I'm not going to list them. You can read them. The basic parts that you might expect from doing like a real app. So it's not like a dummy little tutorial, but you're going to start with some very basic Ruby syntax that's new to you, create your app, etc. You can read those pretty in-depth tutorial on creating a website. And then at the very end, you're deploying it to Heroku so that people can check out your site. So RailsBridge is the tutorial. There are also workshops. RailsBridge workshops are free events. They can be for any underrepresented group, but generally for women who are interested in learning some web development. You can find out more about that at railsbridge.org. I went to one of these in Tulsa in June, and I really enjoyed it. It was organized by Wasim and some other people from the Ruby group in Tulsa and just technology people in Tulsa in general. You can find out more about that at railsbridgetulsa.org. So I went there, signed up, it asked me my experience level. There were options from all the way to, I'm a professional developer, which I am, down to this is my first experience with coding ever. I really appreciate the fact that they have that broad span. Some things that I enjoyed about the workshop, it was a very laid-back environment. So no pressure, you get done what you get done. I really appreciated the volunteers were very patient. I noticed that some of the volunteers were answering lots of questions for some of the newer developers, and it was great that they were so patient with them. And I talked to a couple of other ladies who went also, and what they mentioned that they really enjoyed was the playlist. There was a fun playlist of different music that they felt like was very, just made it a fun environment. If you're wanting to see more about what these workshops are like, there was a great video blog series that someone in Tulsa did. If you go to 36degreesnorth.co/news/RailsBridge, you can find that. And I'll share this in Slack so you can see all these links without having to take them down right now. And then there was a little news article done on the Techlahoma website about some of these events. They've done them in Tulsa now, I think, 5 or 6 times. So they're getting to where they have the kinks worked out, they know what they're doing, and they can put these on very easily. So here's a picture of one of them, I think from last year. Gives you an idea of the size and type of people. We've got the ladies sitting at the desks and then the volunteers in the back of the room. And here's another one from a different event. Wasim provided this picture to me. That kind of gives you an idea of just like a fun, very relaxed, not like a classroom setting, but just like hanging out, working on this tutorial together. So the way it works is that the ladies go through the Install Fest on a Friday evening, 5-ish to 7:30. The coaches work them through the installing. And like I said, you're just installing and creating a test app. You don't really understand anything about what you've done, which I think maybe can be a little bit frustrating to the students. And then on a Saturday, the next day, going through the workshop, 9 to 5, you just stay as long as you want when the students are done, or just done for the day, they can leave. And so that's a great time to work through that tutorial together with some coaches and volunteers. So the way they started out was with a talk on Ruby and Rails. The speaker, Nestor, gave a 90, I think he broke it into 2 parts, 45 minutes each, one on Ruby in general and one on Rails. He went through just what Rails is, a little bit of the history, what Ruby is and its history, then went through just starting with your very first line of code, Ruby syntax. They talked a little bit about the request response cycle, and then went through a little bit of Git and Heroku. You can find his slides on, I've got a link in here somewhere if you're interested in what he showed. So the main part of it is the tutorial itself, the suggested-tron, and this is on Heroku, so it might take a second to come up, but I'm sure y'all are super interested in seeing my super awesome site that I made. So, I mean, keep in mind that this is something that someone would be making on their very first day of coding, and I should have tried this earlier because this is Heroku. It goes to sleep, so we might come back to that. But if you're curious about it, I just used my default name of Mysterious Savannah 33938. But again, this is a website that's, I think that's something that's really important to the students, is having something they can share with people, like, look at this thing I made. With other tutorial sites, like Free Code Camp, which I do really love, some other sites, like, you don't have something you can show at the end. So it's really great that you can show this, and now it's come up. So I might need to zoom in a little bit. Y'all can go to this site. Please keep it code of conduct friendly if you do add some topics. But you can vote on topics or unvote, whatever. But I mean, this is like a real deal with a real database. Like, I just want to emphasize the fact that this is not just a toy. So that's my site that I made that day. The resources they shared, Nestor had those slides that I mentioned. Wasim afterwards gave a great list of follow-up resources for the students. Talked about some online training, including like Free Code Camp, our meetups, Twitch, all the different things that would be helpful for someone who's just starting out and wants to learn more. And so what I want to talk y'all into is the next time they do one of these in Tulsa, which is going to be, I believe, November 30th and December 1st, being a coach. So if you've done anything with Ruby and Rails at all, you have something you can help with. And if you, which I think not very many people here, Austin was there when we did a Django workshop here. It's going to be very similar to that. So if you're interested in that, I can tell you more about how it works. But basically, you don't need to be an expert at anything, really. You just need to have some experience knowing some of the jargon that will be that's confusing for the students, help them through errors that they will inevitably get. Not a lot of experience needed. But this is the dates. They're going to be taking signups for coaches soon. So follow them on Twitter if you're interested in being involved with that at RailsBridge Toll. And I'll probably post a link in our Slack channel when that's available. But take these dates down if you're interested in coaching. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is the possibility of doing one here in Oklahoma City. So I've created a channel in our Slack, RailsBridge-OKC. I'd love for anyone who's even mildly interested to join that, and we can talk about the details for setting one of these up soon in Oklahoma City. So some of the things we'll need for that is, like, people have asked me already, when are you planning to do that? I don't know. That's the first thing we'll talk about. The second thing we'll talk about is where to do this. Here at Start Space 46 is a great place. It's just they do have a limit on the number of laptops that can be plugged in at once, so we might need to think about doing it at a different location. And then finding attendees. So we're looking for women who may have some programming experience, ideally women who don't have any and want to get into the field. So if you know people like this or have some ideas on how to advertise to them, we would love to get your help with that. And then we're looking for people to coach and do talks at the workshop, and then some just general volunteers. And then, of course, we'll need money. So if your company might be interested in sponsoring this, that's something that we will need too. So the place to go to get more information is Slack. If you're not in our Slack already, I highly recommend it to be involved with the community. You can find information at techlahoma.org/spaces. And then the sign up is at slack.techlahoma.org. You'll enter your email address. You'll get an email. Just follow the instructions to sign up. So channels that I would recommend, obviously the one I just mentioned, RailsBridge-OKC. If you're not in the OKC Ruby channel or the general Ruby channel in Techlahoma Slack, definitely join those. There's a channel for jobs, and then we're up to at least 180 other channels. So lots of different things, just general tech talk, random, tons of stuff that would be great for you to get involved in if you're interested. And then if you want to ask me any more questions about it, you can private message me. My handle is Kimberly Collins. That's my name. Do y'all have any questions about this right now? No? Okay. Well, please join the RailsBridge OKC channel. We could talk about it more. That's all for now. Thanks.